I am called to make this video because a week ago, on September 10th, 2025, we saw the assassination of Charlie Kirk, who was murdered in cold blood for having a different fucking opinion. And it was horrible and extremely alarming to see for many reasons. Of course, the murder was the most horrible part, but also seeing how people reacted to it and how many people celebrated or made a mockery or made fun of the assassination was just horrible to see in social medias. And some people say that it was like a small group of people. It was not a small group of people. I saw multiple tweets with 500,000 likes on Twitter, or X. I mean, we all call it Twitter. But this is like, for context, like on Twitter, like if something has 500,000 likes, that's like the tweet of the month, or like, I don't know, I mean, maybe like tweet of 3 months, like that, the most liked tweet in those 3 months or whatever. These were like super highly liked tweets. The amount of people that liked or retweeted those tweets that were making fun of or celebrating Charlie's death, it's a lot of people. It's a lot of people that think this way. And that's, again, horrible to see for multiple reasons, because Charlie didn't do anything wrong. He just sat in front of college campuses, put a mic in, held a mic to his hand, and then put the other one so anyone could walk up. And he literally always says, anyone with disagreements, come to the front of the line. Like anyone that wants to disagree, and they set up a line. And he just talked and debated people. Open mic. He never called to violence. He never said any wild shit. The other thing is, a lot of people say that he said wild shit, and then I've seen some of the craziest things, and you realize there's like a couple different people. There's people that heard, like second account or whatever. They like hear from someone else that, oh my god, he said wild shit, or he's this and that, and then they just kind of like repeat it. They don't even look into it. They just assume that it's true. And then there's other people that see a tweet that is basically an imaginary opinion that Charlie never even had. They'll spin the lukewarm take of, there's only two genders, male and female, and there shouldn't be men in women's sports and bathrooms. And they'll take that, and then they'll spin it, and they'll say, oh my god, he's saying that trans people shouldn't exist. Oh my god, holy shit. He's saying that trans people should all be killed. That's not what he said at all, ever. And, the things I saw were like, I saw some crazy shit, and I don't like seeing this stuff because it makes me have to like research it, and then because there's some outlandish, like people said that Charlie wanted segregation and slavery, and I saw people saying that Charlie said that he wanted gay people stoned to death. These are real quotes, real tweets that I'm both quoting that had 500,000 likes. This is not made up. The Estonians, the gay ones, I know that was from Stephen King. And the other one was from some, random Twitter user, but I'm sure many of you saw that tweet as well. And I'll explain this after, but what you realize after looking into this, because the first thing is the shock value. You'll have a tweet with a video and with a caption. Sometimes without the video, actually, but just with a caption. Charlie said he wants slavery and segregation. And you're just like, oh my god, what a horrible human being. And then when you look into it, you realize he actually never said this at all. And that turns out to be a very, very common pattern. So there's a lot of people that despise Charlie Kirk because of imaginary opinions that he never even had. And there's a lot of people that hate Charlie because they were told by someone who saw those opinions and believed those opinions, and they were told like by that other person, and they just believed automatically that their friend or whatever that was telling them was saying the truth. And then there's the people that know the truth and purposely twist and spin his words or clip him out of context, which I didn't realize, but I now realize is very easy to do against someone that debates. Because I'll give you the example of the slavery and the segregation one. There's this tweet with about 400,000 likes that said that Charlie wanted slavery and segregation. Okay? And it's from the Jubilee. It's towards the end of his Jubilee 1 versus 25 debate when he's debating that girl. It's that last conversation that he has in that Jubilee clip. You can go watch it for yourself. And the clip is Charlie asking the girl, why does she think that in 1940s black people in America were better off than in 2025? And the girl immediately says, "Oh my God, what are you like? What are you trying to say? Like, are you trying to say that like we need to bring back slavery?" And then the clip ends. And it's like, you know what actually happened before, right before, not right before, like throughout the entire period before and throughout the entire period after this clip, Charlie is saying the entire time that he thinks that the reason why black people in America were better off in 1940s than they are now economically and in terms of crime is because he thinks that recently there has been this really bad trend of absent black fathers in the family, and there's been an absence of family values. And so he thinks and repeatedly says that what his solution is, what he thinks the solution to a rise in black crime and a decline in economic and housing problems, when specifically looking at black families, is that communities need to bring back more family values and they need to have more present black fathers in the family. They need to get rid of this trend. And I'm going to interject here and say that it's just true because we see this a lot with rappers that are black that have like 5 kids with like 5 different mothers, and it's like, you know, supposedly like a cool thing. So there definitely is this trend. Okay, and to stop the interjection, basically that's what he says. He suggests the entire time that the reason why they were better in 1940s than in 2025 is because he thinks back then there was more family values, there was more black fathers present. So they need to bring that back. He never said anything about slavery or segregation. In fact, he was referring to 1940s, by the way, which slavery ended in the late 1800s. But you know what happens when somebody sees a tweet just like spinning, you know, taking something out of context and then putting a caption to like twist and spin and completely make up a lie of an imaginary opinion? Now there's 400,000 people that actually believed that Charlie wanted segregation and slavery. That's the crazy part. And now I want to talk about action because of what this really represents. Like I said, Charlie had the most lukewarm opinions in the of conservatives. So it was really just like, you know, any average conservative, I'm conservative, they would celebrate and make fun of any average conservative's death. I saw tweets too of people, by the way, they were just like immediately going to the gun thing, being like, oh my God, basically insinuating, you know, he deserved to die because he was pro-gun or whatever. It's like, do you know how many people in the United States of America are pro-gun? About half the fucking country. Like, the fact that these people would justify the murder by saying he was pro-gun is absolutely nuts to me. And of course, this is on top of it just being like an opinion. It's not like, you know, people shouldn't be killed for having a difference in opinion. But it was just baffling that, I don't know if they realize this or not, that like literally half the country believes the same shit that Charlie does. And now I want to talk about action. I'm not sure what I mean, obviously I think things should be solved with peace, obviously, but I think things need to change. I think there's been way too many people. I mean, I just see these clips of like Hassan and Destiny on Twitch, and they're literally like word for word. This is not a mischaracterization or anything. They're literally like talking about like these people. They're saying like quote unquote like these people should be killed. We need to murder these capitalists X and Y. You know, the Hassan clips, and it's like, what are we saying? What, like, they're explicitly calling for people to be killed, literally. Like, it's not an exaggeration. They are literally saying that people need to be killed, like word on word. And this type of speech where you're like calling for violence, that is not protected under free speech. That is a call to violence. So I think when people make calls to violence like that, especially when it's to like tens of thousands of people who watch them, which is the surprising part to me, it's kind of like, it's not just that they say these outlandish things, these crazy, despicable, horrible things, but it's that there's like tens of thousands of people that agree with them, that are watching that and agree with them. So these types of violent calls, like, law enforcement needs to do something about that. That can't just be, you know, that can't just go by. And I feel like you can't just like expect like a random website to just like, monitor everything. I guess you can. I mean, of course, I think Twitch should ban them, but Twitch is like best friends with a lot of these people, right? They like, everybody knows Twitch is just like they pick and choose who they're best friends with, and then they make every excuse in the book to not ban someone. But this goes way above like taking someone offline from a fucking site. This is a thing that by law people should, be sent to court and like have to go to jail or something. So I think that's the first thing that needs to change. And the second one that needs to be changed is all these news channels, which, like it or not, all the boomers watch the news channels. They don't watch YouTube, right? And that's about like how many people, I don't know how many that is, like 20 generations or something. And about 99% of the news channels are on the extreme left, and they do what I said at the start. They take what a conservative says and they take it, they twist it, they spin it, they make up a lie, they make up a random thing. They talk. I saw today there was like this guy on, I don't know the fucking news site, but or the news channel, but there was a guy talking about like how he said, quote unquote, like it's so touching. It's very touching to see how like the shooter was texting his trans furry boyfriend, like how touching were the text messages. Like, what the fuck are you talking about? Which I just realized I haven't even gotten to the shooter, but these news channels that have these licenses, they can't be allowed to like go lie for lie for lie for lie. It's literally every single day. They just take an opinion, they twist it, they spin it, they make some shit up, some imaginary opinion. And now all the boomers watching the TV and all the people following them on their social medias that see the clips, they all believe this. So something needs to be done about those news channels that just go on and just like lie as easy as they breathe. There needs to be a certain level of like repercussions. Like, I don't know what they would be, but there needs to be something done about that. And the thing about the shooter, man, the more information that comes out, I mean, I know that people keep questioning, and they have more questions, and they're saying like, there's multiple people involved, so, and I know this is going to be like a long ongoing thing. Maybe, I don't know if we'll ever get to the bottom of it, but the basic facts are like the shooter was in a relationship. He had like a lover. Apparently he might have had two, but we know for sure he had one lover who was a trans furry, and the shooter himself was a furry. So the shooter was a gay furry who had a trans boyfriend. And like on the magazines or whatever, there were like a bunch of things about fascism or something. So bro, this is so clearly someone who has been like radicalized from the left, from the news channel and from the streamers and from whoever online that keeps telling them, oh my god, Charlie Kirk is Hitler reincarnated. Charlie Kirk is a fascist. He's a homophobe. He's a transphobe. He's an XYZ phobe, A to Z phobe. He's all these things. And they hear Hassan say we need to murder these conservatives. You'd imagine that follows logically, right? And so it's not hard to believe how this person became so mentally ill that they went out and murdered someone in cold blood. Because right now there is a massive problem with how extreme the left has become. Half of the conservatives from nowadays are literally Democrats from like 15 years ago. That's how far the left has gone. And the left have reached a point where if you say there's two genders, male and female, they equate that to you saying that trans people should die, and they equate that to calling you a Nazi and a fascist. And then they use that to justify wanting you dead. But it's really simple. You can keep breathing, you can keep existing. We're just demanding that you do it in the men's section, which is the appropriate section, not in the women's bathrooms or sports. And if you're in the wrong section, we will do everything possible to make sure that while you're still breathing and while you're still, not harmed, that you get moved to the correct section. Personally, I also think that the trans problem, that needs to be declared like a global mental illness, like officially. And personally, I think that these people need to be institutionalized in some sort of like mental hospital so that they can get rehabilitated. We need more rehabilitation so that they can be like a normal working member of society. And they're not in these extremes, or we're not sinking them down further, because that's what a lot of people will do. They're just like egg them on further and further and further until they're like deeper down into the rabbit hole, until they do something that they can't go back on, right? Because you cut off your dick and balls, you can't undo that, but even then, even for people that have done that, I think there's a way back. I think there's always a way back. There's always a path to rehabilitation, but I think that needs to be a big thing. It needs to be declared a mental illness, and we need to help them. We need to help these people with rehabilitation, not sink them down further. And I know some people might be like, oh my god, why are you hammering so down on the trans problem? Like, are you a closeted trans? Because there's people that think that way. No, it's just that there's been a trend of increasing trans violence. Like the last fucking, I don't know how many, but bro, it's like out of the last 10 school shooters, it's like 9 out of 10 were trans. It's some crazy statistic like that. So it's like I'm just recognizing a pattern and I'm seeing that there's a clear. I mean, I already knew before that, without that it was a mental illness, okay? But this just kind of confirms it. So that's why I'm hammering down on the trans issue. Because I think it's one of the top issues that we have, and especially for this shooting problem, murder problem, assassination problem, it's especially an issue with this. Another issue is obviously like mass immigration, like, saying no to mass immigration, no mass immigration, deporting all illegal people. I think that's also another big problem, but I don't want to get too deep into that. But I just want to say that's like the other problem that is driving violence and crime up. Very, very obvious problem. Immigration laws exist there so that you can have checks and balances. You can check who is coming into your country. Who do you want on your team? Do you want a bunch of like criminals and violent people, or do you want, well-educated, good people? So you have to have some level of checks and balances, right? But apart from that, the main reason why you can't have mass immigration is not just the checks and balances to make sure that people are good people. It's also because countries don't have unlimited resources. Take a look at your hospitals, take a look at your community services, whatever, when you go get your license done or whatever, like all these government type places. Take a look at how long the lines are for things, how much housing costs, how bad the housing problem has gotten in the past like 10-15 years. This is a problem of resources. The more people you have demanding these same resources, the more expensive the things get. Actually, I just remember there's a third super equally important reason why mass migration is a huge problem, and that is being able to preserve the culture of the country that you live in. When people are coming at a rate that is way too fast into your country, they're not able to properly assimilate into the cultures and customs that we have here. Okay, now I want to talk about God and the spiritual part. I'm a Catholic. I guess I'm one of the bad ones. I mean, I'm not bad, but like, I don't go to church every Sunday, so in that sense, I am a bad Catholic. But I do believe, like, fully in everything that we believe in God and Jesus and the Virgin Mary and all these things, and the Holy Trinity. I shouldn't say all these things, but I think what we're witnessing is, for me, the last 2 years, I have seen such a rise in all these demonic things. And I can see very clearly, from the Olympic Games to where they made a mockery of the First Supper, the classic painting of the Last Supper where you have Jesus with the table with the 12 disciples, and the French, which is crazy because wasn't the French like one of the most Catholic places, right? And then they're just like, at the Olympics they're making a mockery out of it, and they have like, it literally looks as demonic as possible. And this stuff, like I said, the stuff that's happening with trans people, the amount of things that I have seen on like news, like there's these parades where there's full-grown adults walking bare naked next to kids. There's this horrible picture I saw one time. There's like more than one picture like that. Because, apparently it's a crime to be nude in public, but apparently it's fair and not a crime when you're doing it at a parade next to fucking kids. And like all this stuff is just demonic, and the more I see this evil stuff, the more I realize like I need to get closer to God, because God is the solution to these things. Because I think these problems rise, and it's almost obvious to me that these problems rise from lack of God and lack of family or family values. I'm seeing grown adults telling these little kids to like inject themselves or whatever, or intake these hormones and puberty blockers, and it's just like, y'all know this shit is irreversible, right? And the kid is like 12, 15, 14, whatever. Like, what the fuck are you doing? And some people will say like, oh, this never happens. Bro, I have seen literal people that say themselves that they detransitioned, okay? And they'll tell you about how underage they were like starting to take these things, and their doctors and their families and whatever all like advertise them to do it. And then, of course, eventually what ends up happening is at the end of it, they get like the double mastectomy or whatever, or they like chop off the dick and balls. This stuff is not reversible. None of it. And when I see all these horrible things, all I can think about is Satan. How Satan is out there like smiling, laughing, and how demons are like whispering in people's ears, and how the Virgin Mary is crying and God is disappointed in them. That's what I see. When I saw the girl, the Ukrainian girl, Irina, getting like randomly stabbed to death and killed in that train. When I see the was it Carmelo Anthony? I'm not sure. Where like the situation where the black kid at a university stabbed the white guy just for being white. What the fuck am I watching? Like, and it's a horrible thing. Obviously, it's the most horrible thing. But what's like equally as horrible is seeing how many people support that. They make it a race thing. Bro, it's not a race thing at all. It's not a race thing. But people make it a race. They made the GoFundMe. They funded however many thousands of dollars, like $500,000. They donated $500,000 to the kid that murdered the other kid. Just because he was black and the donors were black. So they're donating because they make it a race thing. And I see Satan there as well. I see all these demons. I can see the demons so clearly. As time goes on, I've tweeted about this a couple of times. It's kind of funny. But as time goes on, I can see the demons more and more clearly. When people are celebrating the death of Charlie Kirk for having the most lukewarm conservative opinions of all time, and people are celebrating that murder, which, I mean, murder for just having any opinion is bad, horrible, despicable. But then, like I said, add on top of it that it's like a lukewarm opinion of half the fucking country, and add on top of that too that he was murdered like it was like completely public. It is as horrible as it could possibly get, and that his family and 2 kids were present, by the way, watching him. It's literally as horrible as it can be, and people are still justifying it and celebrating and retweeting and liking it. They think like retweeting or liking is like not doing anything for some reason. I don't understand. But I can see like, and I'm so disappointed in some people. Like there's some even like league creators I see. I'm like, what the fuck? Like, and I can see so clearly how demonic and demon like these people are, that they have like a demon whispering in their ears the entire time, being happy for them, being yes, oh my god, you're like Satan's favorite student, oh my god, Satan's favorite servant. Like I can see it so clearly, you know, and all that does is like it pulls me closer to God, because I know God is the solution to all this. God and family values as well. I think it's both things. It's lack of family values, but primarily God. So, yeah. I'm sorry for going really long. I know I would never. Well, I tried my best. I hope I do some sort of justice to Charlie Kirk. I've been trying to make this video. Actually, like thinking about making it. I've been pretty down. Like I think, like I said, like it hit us all like a truck. We're all mourning the death of Charlie Kirk. A devout Christian and a conservative, and I'm sorry if I don't do justice to Charlie Kirk, but I just felt like I needed to make my video about it. And yeah, to whoever listens, I felt like I needed to spread the word, let somebody know, even if nobody watches this video or little people watch this video or there's a bunch of people against me. I don't care. I feel like I needed to get the word out there and spread the word. So yeah, I hope you enjoyed this video. Rest in peace to Charlie Kirk. Let us never forget this, and let us try and make the future better by prosecuting these people who make these calls to violence and making it impossible for these news channels to just lie on the repeat. And I think in general, man, like they need to declare a Charlie Kirk Day, honestly. Some people are saying like not his death day but his birthday. But yeah, they need to declare a Charlie Kirk Day, and we need to never forget this as a constant reminder of how extreme and mentally ill and far gone people can get with this constant call of calling anyone you disagree with a fascist. And we need to maintain Charlie's main beliefs of Christianity and getting closer to God, having a good family, and these family values, and having open debate, which personally, I kind of dislike, because like I said, sometimes when you have to like research so much and I feel like I'm not good at it, but I'm saying like open discussion, having these open discussion. He is a very high advocate of having just open discussion, literally sitting in front of a mic, putting a mic in front of him, another one, and just telling people to like debate him. And this is what we need to uphold. So thank you for watching, and I hope I did some sort of justice to Charlie Kirk. Rest in peace, rest his soul. Yeah. Hopefully I make it to heaven and get to see him one day.